For some time now, I've been looking at Atticus watches. If you're not aware, the owner of Atticus, that's Rusty Mahoney, has previously worked on the design side of NTH. I believe he's probably had the watches made in the same factory. Now, that's probably in China, but it doesn't mean they're not very good, but we're going to get to that soon enough anyway. Now, I've had a look on YouTube and it appears this watch has only been reviewed once and then not in any great detail. This is a shame because in my opinion it deserves it. Now, although Atticus, like NTH, are famed for their quality homages, and this watch is a bit of a cross between an Oyster Perpetual and a Tissot PRX, it's my belief that it's certainly not a direct homage and it shouldn't be considered as such. Now, just one more thing. Meteora is a rock formation somewhere in Greece. I don't know why Rusty chose this as the watch's name, but now you know anyway. Welcome to my unpaid and unsponsored review of the Atticus Meteora. One with the dimensions. Now, the case size is 38mm, the lug width is 20mm, the depth is only 11mm, and the lug to lug is 46mm. Now, once adjusted to fit my 17cm wrist, it weighs in at about 124 grams. For me, this is the perfect size for a dressy sports watch, as it's got enough presence on a larger wrist, but at the same time, it isn't too large for a smaller wrist. However, in my opinion, the watch does wear marginally larger, I'd say at about 39. And there's the sustainable packaging. It's good quality, it's a coffin style box, and inside is the 2-year warranty. And this is my watch of the day. It's the Reverie Diver with this beautiful green dial. It's another brand out of Singapore. The 6mm screw down crown is signed, very well knolled, operates the movement very well, and the engagement is very good, although it doesn't compare with the buttery smooth engagement of, say, a Christopher Ward, for example. Now, the claimed water resistance is 100 metres, and I see no reason why it couldn't be used for most water activities, with the exception to deep sea diving, of course. Inside, and as seen through the case back of my Reverie Diver, is the Miyota 90S9, which is a date-free version of the 9015. For your information, this watch is also available with a date function. Now, it's a 6Hz high beat movement that ticks away at 28,800 beats per hour, and it hacks and it hand winds. These calibers can be very accurate if regulated correctly, and are renowned for their reliability. Although they are relatively easy to service, the cost of a new one generally makes it more economically viable to change the movement every 10 years or so. Some people moan about a noisy unidirectional rotor. Personally, that isn't something that's ever bothered me, and frankly I can't hear it when it's on the wrist. Anyway, let's see how this one performs on the time grapher. And there we are, a good amplitude, a decent beat error. This one is running a little bit fast though, at 17 seconds. As you would expect, it's got a sapphire crystal with some anti-reflectant coating on the underside. Now, the case finishing is absolutely superb, and it equals some Swiss brands, costing several times more. It's almost solely brushed, although the bezel is polished, as well as the chamfers. It could be argued that it's a little bit flat, but because of the short lug to lug, that isn't really an issue. The caseback screws down, it's quite plain, and it's got a few basic pieces of information engraved on it. Of course, the entire watch is made of marine grade stainless steel, 316L of course, but that almost goes without saying. Now, the dial is the main reason anybody would buy this watch. It's a champagne linen dial with silver indices and a printed logo. It oozes class and sophistication, making it a perfect watch for people such as myself. The hands are simple stick-filled with C3 lume. Above each index is also a dot of lume, and although this can't be compared with a good dive watch, for example, it's actually pretty decent, so let's have a look at that lume. Having owned NTH watches in the past, I knew the bracelet on this watch would be good, and I wasn't wrong. I don't really know how to describe it. You see, it's a kind of an oyster style bracelet, but it's also a sort of an H-link bracelet as well. Now, what's interesting is about half of the bracelet is made up of half links. Now, that's something I haven't seen before. Now the bracelet tapers down from 20mm to 16mm, then back up to 18mm for the clasp. Now the solid end links fit almost perfectly to the case, and I have the female variety, which is even better still. Now the links are attached by nice quality split pins, and adjusting this bracelet was actually very easy. Changing the bracelet for a strap is made easy by the drilled lugs, and I believe a nice leather strap would look really good on this watch. It doesn't have quick release pins though. Up until now everything has been good, but I feel the clasp was a mistake. Don't get me wrong, it's a very good clasp. It's just too bulky for this type of watch. Now it's fully milled, it's got 6 micro adjusts, it's got a flip lock, and these clasps are great for divers watches, but it's just too darn big for this watch. So price and value for money. Well, if purchased directly from Atticus in the good old US of A, one of these is going to set you back $650. Now if you live in the UK, like I do, you will have to factor in 20% duty as well, making the watch just south of £700, unless of course you've managed to buy one on Kickstarter. As well made as the watch is, taking into account it's manufactured in Asia and it doesn't have a premium Swiss made movement inside, I think $650 is a little bit steep. I was fortunate enough to have purchased a good used one from a guy called Terry, an eBay seller who did me a good deal. Now for what I paid, I believe the purchase I made in actual fact was a very good price. But that price is a secret. Because the watch wasn't new when I bought it, I suppose QC issues aren't actually relevant. Although my only complaint is that the regulation wasn't that great. That said, it is within manufacturer's specification, I suppose. As far as dislikes are concerned, I only have the one, and I'm guessing you know what that is. Yes, it's a clasp. Like I said before, it's a good clasp. Just not for this watch though. As far as the likes are concerned though, where do I start? The case finishing is superb, the dial is to die for, the dimensions are perfect, the movement's a good choice, and finally, that bracelet is both unique and excellent. I'm fortunate enough to own a Rolex Oyster Perpetual, and whilst the Meteora isn't the direct homage, a comparison can be made I suppose. Okay, the Rolex is better in almost every way, but it also cost me 20 times as much. If you're after something a little bit dressy and a little bit sporty and you don't want to spend your kids' inheritance on a luxury brand watch, you could do worse than consider an Atticus Meteora, especially if you can land yourself some sort of deal. Now that brings me to the end of this review, so if you've enjoyed it please click on the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave your comments below and enjoy the rest of your day.